My name is David, and this is the story of how my wife blindsided me with divorce papers, demanded the house I had worked my entire adult life to buy, and laughed in my face when I said I would fight back. She told me, "You can't afford a lawyer to fight me." She thought that was the end of the story. What she didn't know was that it was just the beginning, and that my revenge would be something she never saw coming. When I first met Claire, I thought she was everything I had ever wanted. She was charming, beautiful, and carried herself with a confidence that drew people in. I wasn't wealthy, but I was proud of what I had built. I had a steady job, and most importantly, I had managed to buy my own home, a small but sturdy house with a little yard. To me, it was more than just a property. It was proof of years of hard work, overtime shifts, and sacrifice. When I first showed Claire the house, she smiled and said, "It has potential." I thought she meant curtains or paint colors. I didn't realize at the time that she was already seeing the house as hers. The first couple of years of our marriage were good, at least on the surface. We had dinners together, went on trips when we could, laughed at silly shows on TV, but little by little, cracks began to show. Claire always wanted more expensive clothes, more exotic vacations, a bigger car. When I said we needed to budget, she would roll her eyes and accuse me of thinking too small. I ignored the red flags. I kept my head down and worked harder. I wanted to make her happy, so I poured myself into improving the house. Weekends disappeared into repainting, repairing, remodeling. Every tile I laid, every nail I hammered, was a piece of me. But the more I invested in the house, the more I noticed Claire investing less in us. She started spending more time out with friends. She grew distant, cold. When she was home, she treated me like a roommate more than a husband. Deep down, I knew something was wrong, but I clung to the hope that we could fix it. Then came the night everything shattered. Claire walked in, tossed a folder on the kitchen table, and said flatly, "David, I want a divorce." I stared at her, my chest tight. "What? Where's this coming from?" She crossed her arms. "I've been thinking about it for a long time. We're not right for each other. I need more out of life than this." I reached for her hand, desperate. "Claire, please, we can work through this. We can—" She pulled back sharply. "It's already done. I've talked to a lawyer." Her words crushed me. She had planned this, quietly, coldly, without even giving me a chance. I opened the folder with trembling hands, and what I saw made my stomach drop. Not only was she filing for divorce, she was demanding the house. I looked up at her, stunned. "You can't be serious. This house was mine before we even met. I bought it, I built it, I've poured everything into it." Her lips curled into a smirk I'll never forget. "Courts don't care about that, David, and let's be real. You can't afford a lawyer to fight me." I sat there in silence as her words sank in. She wasn't just leaving me. She was trying to erase me, to take the one thing I had built with my bare hands and claim it as her prize. That night, after she walked away, I sat in the living room staring at the walls I had painted, the floors I had laid, the home that carried every ounce of my sweat and effort. My chest ached with betrayal, anger, and disbelief. But as I sat there in the silence, one thought pushed through the pain. No, she doesn't get to win this easily. She doesn't get to destroy me and walk away with everything I built. She thought I was too weak, too broke, too beaten down to fight back. She was wrong. After Claire dropped the divorce bombshell, I felt like the floor had fallen out from under me. One day, I was a husband, trying to keep my marriage together. The next, I was a man staring at paperwork that threatened to take away everything I had built before she even entered my life. At first, I was numb. I went to work, came home, and sat in the house feeling like a ghost in my own home. Claire wasn't gone yet, not physically. She still came and went, acting as though she already owned the place. She'd brush past me, make phone calls in the other room, even have the audacity to say things like, "When this is mine, I'm going to knock that wall down." That was the moment it really hit me. She wasn't just leaving me. She was planning her future in my house without me in it. I begged her to be reasonable. One night I said, "Claire, take the car, take the savings account, take what you want, just don't take my house." She looked at me like I was pathetic. "David, you'll be fine. You're a simple man. You can rent an apartment. This house deserves someone who knows how to live in it properly." The arrogance in her voice lit something inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I just clenched my fists and thought, "You're not going to get away with this." The problem was she wasn't wrong about one thing. I couldn't afford an expensive lawyer. My savings were gone into the mortgage and renovations. I didn't have a secret stash of money or wealthy family to back me up. Claire knew that, and she counted on it. For a while, I hit rock bottom. I drank too much, stayed up late staring at the ceiling, and replayed her smirk over and over in my mind. Every time I thought about giving up, I'd walk through the house and remember how I had built it. I remembered installing the floors on my knees until they ached, fixing the roof in the blazing heat, repainting the walls with sweat dripping down my face. This wasn't just a house. It was my blood, my history, my pride. And then one night, I remembered something. When I bought the house years ago, before Claire and I even met, I had kept every receipt, every mortgage document, every contractor invoice. I was meticulous, almost obsessive. Back then, it was just about being organized. Now, I realized, it might save me. I dug into the closet and pulled out the old metal filing box where I kept everything. Inside was a gold mine. The deed in my name, proof of payments made long before Claire entered the picture, and documents showing all the renovations I had paid for myself. That night, for the first time since the divorce bombshell, I felt hope. The next day, I called around and found a local lawyer who specialized in property disputes. He wasn't flashy, he didn't have a big office downtown, but when I told him my story, he leaned back, tapped the papers, and said, "David, she doesn't have a leg to stand on." I nearly cried with relief. He explained the basics. Because I had bought the house before marriage, because the mortgage was in my name, and because I had proof of renovations and payments, the house was protected. Claire might try, she might scream, she might manipulate, but legally she couldn't just take it. Still, he warned me, she'll try to intimidate you. She'll lie. She'll make you feel like you're losing. Don't let her. And oh, did she try. When Claire found out I had hired a lawyer, she laughed. What, some bargain basement attorney? "David, you're wasting your time. When we go to court, I'll crush you." I didn't rise to her bait. I just looked at her calmly and said, "We'll see." Her smirk wavered just a little. For weeks, we lived in this strange limbo, her throwing insults, me quietly gathering more proof. Bank statements, receipts, even old photos of me fixing up the house. Every piece of paper was another brick in the wall I was building to keep her out. She thought I was weak. She thought I'd fold. She thought her arrogance would scare me into surrender, but the more she pushed, the stronger I became. I wasn't just fighting for a house. I was fighting for every sacrifice, every long night, every dream I had poured into these walls, and I knew, when the day came, when we finally stood in court, Claire was going to learn that her biggest mistake wasn't demanding the house. It was underestimating me. The weeks leading up to the court date were some of the longest of my life. Every morning, I woke up to the sound of Claire slamming doors, talking loudly on the phone about her lawyer and how she was going to get everything she deserved. She paraded around the house like it was already hers. One evening, as I sat at the kitchen table sorting through documents, she leaned against the doorway with a glass of wine in her hand. "You know, David," she said with that condescending smile, "you're wasting your time. The judge will see a successful woman who knows what she wants, and a tired man clinging to a house he can't even keep up." I didn't reply. I just slid another receipt into the binder I was building. Proof of payments, proof of renovations, proof that everything she dismissed as ours had been mine long before she arrived. She hated my silence. Her taunts grew bolder. She started bringing friends over, walking them through the house, saying things like, "When the divorce is final, this wall's coming down. I'll finally get the kitchen I deserve." They laughed, clinking their glasses, while I stood in the corner gripping my fists so hard my knuckles turned white. But instead of exploding, I remembered my lawyer's words, "Let her talk. Let her dig her own hole. You just gather proof," so I did. I kept records of everything, even her words. I started writing down the times she claimed ownership, the things she told others, The threats she made. It wasn't just about property anymore. It was about her arrogance. Then one night I overheard her on the phone in the living room. She was laughing with someone, maybe a friend, maybe her lawyer. Oh, he's pathetic. He thinks keeping receipts will save him. When I get the house, I'm selling it and moving somewhere better. He'll have nothing. Her words burned into me. That wasn't just betrayal. That was cruelty. The next day I doubled down. I met with my lawyer and laid everything out on his desk. The deed, the mortgage documents, bank statements, renovation receipts, even photos of me working on the house before I ever knew Claire. He flipped through them slowly, nodding. "This is airtight, David. Don't let her rattle you. The house is yours." For the first time in months, I felt steady, but Claire didn't stop. She escalated. She drained the joint account we had, emptied it down to the last cent. She maxed out a credit card in both our names. When I confronted her, she just shrugged. "Divorce is expensive, David. Maybe this will teach you to be a man and make more money." I wanted to scream, but instead I documented it. Every dollar she spent, every reckless purchase, every overdraft fee. My lawyer told me, "Good. The judge will want to see her behavior. This helps your case." Still, it was brutal. I worked extra shifts, ate the cheapest food I could, and scraped by while she strutted around in new clothes and talked about her new life. The night before court, I barely slept. I walked through the house in the dark, running my hand along the walls, remembering every moment of building it. I thought about giving up once, letting her win, walking away with nothing just to end the pain. But then I remembered the look on her face when she said, "You can't afford a lawyer." That was the moment I knew I had to fight. Not just for the house, not just for myself, but to prove her wrong. When the court date arrived, Claire walked in like she was walking down a runway. Perfectly dressed, chin high, smirk plastered across her face. She glanced at me and whispered, "Hope you enjoyed your last night in that house." I didn't reply. I just tightened my grip on the binder of evidence in my hands. This wasn't going to be her victory parade. It was going to be her downfall. Court felt colder than I expected. Not the temperature, something about the walls, the quiet, the way voices echoed. Claire soaked it up like it was her stage. She sat at the petitioner's table, legs crossed, whispering to her attorney, flashing me the kind of smile that says, "I've already won." My attorney, Mr. Alvarez, leaned toward me. "Remember, facts, not feelings. Let her talk. When it's our turn, we land every point." The judge entered. "This is Stone versus Stone division of marital assets." We rose, sat, and the performance began. Claire's lawyer went first, flowery, polished, loud. He painted a portrait of my house as our marital home, a symbol of joint investment, and Claire as the one who elevated it into a livable modern space. He slid glossy photos across to the judge, rooms I had painted, floors I had installed, shelves I had built. His voice swelled with sincerity. "My client deserves the home, Your Honor. She has a plan for it." The respondent clings to it out of spite. I stared at the photos and felt a flash of insult so sharp my hands shook. That was my sweat on those walls. Those were my nights, my weekends, my paychecks. Claire shot me a sideways glance, the tiniest smirk on her lips, as if to ask, "Still think you can afford to fight me, respondent?" The judge said. Alvarez stood calm as a slow tide. "Your Honor, we agree this home matters. That's why the facts matter more." He placed our binder on the evidence table like he was setting down a keystone. "This is a premarital asset. Deed recorded in Mr. Stone's name 3 years before the marriage. Mortgage solely in his name. Renovations funded by his separate account. We have receipts, dated photographs, and contractor affidavits." He handed copies to the court. I watched the judge slip on reading glasses and begin to scan. The courtroom felt quieter. Claire shifted in her seat. Alvarez continued, voice even. "As for contributions, my client welcomed his wife to a home he already owned. He did the work. He paid the bills. He maintained a separate property account long before petitioner entered the picture. Under statute, this home remains separate property. We aren't asking for anything that isn't his. We're simply asking to keep what is." Claire's lawyer stood fast. "Your Honor, the marital lifestyle, show me the money trail," the judge said without looking up. Alvarez nodded to me. I rose, went to the stand, swore in. My heartbeat thudded in my throat, but my voice came out steady. "Mr. Stone," Alvarez said, "when did you purchase the home?" "3 years before I met Claire." "And who paid the mortgage?" "I did, from my account. Every month." He walked me through it. The date on the deed, the mortgage slips with my name, the contractor invoices I'd kept like a pack rat. We projected before and after photos, me with paint in my hair, me kneeling on subfloor, me tearing out old cabinets. Not glamorous, but undeniably real. Then Alvarez opened a smaller folder. "Your Honor, petitioner asserts significant financial contribution to the property. We submit 6 months of the joint account showing withdrawals for restaurants, retail, and travel, none for materials, labor, or mortgage." He looked at me. "Did petitioner ever reimburse you for renovations?" "No." "Did she ever add her name to the deed?" "No." Claire's attorney objected, tone urgent now, but the judge overruled. "We'll get to cross. Continue." Alvarez rested, and the cross-examination began. Claire's lawyer attacked the edges, tried to frame me as controlling, miserly, petty. "Isn't it true you blocked upgrades your wife wanted?" He pressed. "I blocked debt," I said. "Not upgrades. I did the work myself to save money." "Didn't your wife plan the redesigns?" "She planned champagne. We had a beer budget. I built what we could afford." A few people chuckled. The judge didn't, but I saw the corners of her mouth tighten, as if she'd heard this dance before. The lawyer pivoted to emotion. "You resent my client, don't you?" "I resent being told I don't matter in my own house," I said. "I resent being told I can't afford to defend myself." Silence rippled. The judge underlined something. Then Claire took the stand. She glided up, hand raised, voice syrupy with hurt. "I made that house a home," she began. "I had a vision. I entertained our friends. I brought style, class, receipts?" The judge asked mildly. Claire blinked. "Receipts?" "For materials, labor, mortgage contributions." My contributions weren't financial," she said quickly. "Emotional labor matters. I picked everything. I chose the tiles. The tiles he installed?" the judge asked. Claire's jaw clenched. She glanced at her lawyer, who nodded for her to continue. She did, louder now. "I sacrificed so much." "And he's punishing me." Alvarez stood. "Objection, relevance. Sustained," the judge said. "Stick to financial contributions or legal claims." Claire's glare flicked to me, ice under glass. "Fine, then I'll be clear. I deserve the house because I can use it better. He'll just rot in it." A hush fell. Her lawyer closed his eyes for a beat like he'd heard a car crash and realized he was behind the wheel. Alvarez approached the bench with a final exhibit. "Your Honor, one more item. A summary of joint account activity the week prior to filing, when petitioner emptied the account and maxed a shared card." He paused. "Respondent documented every transaction. We're not asking for sanctions. We simply request the court consider this behavior when assessing credibility." The judge reviewed the summary. Expression neutral. "Counsel for petitioner?" Claire's lawyer tried to spin it. Transitional expenses preparing for independence. But the numbers weren't theater. They were math. The judge didn't argue with math. When closings came, Claire's attorney leaned hard on lifestyle and fairness. He said the words equity and fresh start like charms that could float bricks. Alvarez's close was simple. "The law protects separate property. We ask the court to apply it." The judge removed her glasses. "I've reviewed the evidence. The home is a premarital asset, purchased and maintained with respondents' separate funds. Petitioner has not shown transmutation or commingling sufficient to convert it to marital property. The house remains the respondent's separate property." The words struck like a bell. Clear. Final. Claire's face cracked, shock first, then fury. She half rose. "This is ridiculous." "Sit down, Ms. Stone," the judge said, not unkindly but with steel in it. "We will address remaining items, personal property division, the joint account, and the credit card, based on the documentation. Given petitioner's withdrawals, the court will order reimbursement to respondent from equitable distributions." A neat legal way of saying she'd have to pay back what she'd drained. Bang. Gavel. We were done. Claire stormed out, heels staccato on tile. I sat for a second, eyes stinging, the room blurring, the binder heavy in my lap like a medal I never wanted but fought to earn. Alvarez put a hand on my shoulder. "You did it! You kept what was yours." Outside, Claire waited by the steps, sunglasses on though the sky was overcast. "Enjoy your precious house," she snapped. "It's all you'll ever have." I looked past her, at the building, the street, the slice of sky. "It's not all I'll ever have," I said quietly. "It's where I start again," she scoffed. "You only won because you kept receipts." "I won because you underestimated me," I said. "Because you thought I wouldn't fight." Her mouth tightened. For the first time, there was something like uncertainty in her eyes. Then she turned and left. I drove home slowly, fingers loose on the wheel, the world seeming strangely new. When I opened the door, the familiar scent of cut pine and soap and coffee met me like an old friend. I walked the perimeter, hand on the doorframe I'd sanded smooth. Step across the floorboards I'd laid at 2 a.m. A glance at the wall I'd painted with 3 coats because the first 2 were streaky. It was a house. But now, after all of it, it was something else too. Proof. Proof that hard work can outlast arrogance. That preparation can outlast performance. That the person you used to be, the one who kept receipts, who saved quietly, who showed up every day, can save the person you are when everything is on the line. I set the binder on the kitchen table and made coffee. No victory parade, no crowd. Just the soft tick of the cooling oven and the hum of the fridge. Peace. I hadn't felt it in months. My phone buzzed. Alvarez again. "One more thing," he said. "Given the judge's comments, you're in a strong position for the rest. Debts, reimbursements. We'll finalize it. Get some rest." I thanked him and hung up. Then I stepped out back. The yard was still. The fence needed a new coat of stain. The garden bed was choked with weeds. Little ordinary problems. The kind I know how to fix. Claire wanted to watch me walk out of this place with a trash bag and a broken heart. She wanted to turn the key behind me and call it hers. But she couldn't. She didn't. She told me I couldn't afford a lawyer to fight her. She was wrong about the lawyer. More importantly, she was wrong about me. Revenge wasn't rubbing her nose in the judgment. It wasn't a victory lap on social media. It was this, staying. Rebuilding, again, on my terms. Sleeping in a house I paid for, in a life I get to live without her voice in it. The sun crept out from a cloud and the yard warmed. I took a breath that felt like it reached the bottom of my lungs. Court was over. The war she started had ended. I still had my home. And now, finally, I had my future back too.